I'm Dan Drake. This is Front Up, and we have three special guests today. Three of the UMass Boston students who have been here for the last semester, essentially. Sam Stuzinski, Morgan Wells, and Wilkins Ventura. Sam, Morgan, Wilkins.
Hello.
And thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
You're just about done? You're just about to go home? Or?
About to leave.
But I thought it would be great to have an opportunity to talk to you about what you've been doing and get a little sense of how you feel about the program and whether you're glad you've done it or not. And, well, that's important. They need feedback too, you know.
Yeah, we'll give you the real dish on what's actually happening.
All right, why don't we start with you, Morgan?
All right. So
what is your project that you've been?
I was working with eels.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at population size, and I think
Where specifically?
Folgers Marsh over by the field station, and then also up at Long Pond, like on Matticat Road.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just some places that I was told to check out from some old time fishermen, so that was really cool. They helped me find those.
Mm-hmm. And what did you learn?
That eels are very slimy creatures.
You've never worked with eels before?
I'd never touched one before.
How big are the eels in our harbor
The
and
ones I was
ponds?
catching were at least this long.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest I got was about 77 centimeters. They're pretty heavy,
Yeah.
and they are so slimy. Like, you cannot
77
handle them.
centimeters is what, 2.5 feet, roughly?
About that, yeah. But my project was to look at population size and see if it's changed at all in the last 20 years, because I've read up a lot that it had decreased in the past 20 years, so I wanted to kind of support that. That was my hypothesis, was that it did decrease and that my studies would find that. However, it's been so cold that they didn't run until like a few weeks ago, so I caught quite very few, like a small number rather than the large number I expected. But I mean, it supported my hypothesis, so.
And you arranged the weather, obviously.
Of course. Ordered it special.
Sam, what about you?
I worked with testing circulation on cyanobacteria. So
What does that mean?
So in Hummock Pond, in the head of Hummock Pond, there's a circulator there to help with those blue-green algae blooms. And so in a lab setting, I grew like one of the problem species of blue-green algae and built a circulator and tested circulation as like a remediation effect. Yeah.
What was your conclusion?
So circulation works in theory, but it's not working on Hummock Pond with the circulator that's there right now. But I think
Who put the circulator in?
I think it was organized by Nantucket Land Council and I think a state-funded group that I just can't remember the name of. Off the
We
top
had a
of my head.
dog who used to go down there and drink when they walked through Sanford
told
Farm.
us
Yeah,
about
it's
and
very
the dog had a
very
short life.
It's very toxic. Yeah, so very toxic.
Well, that's too bad. But,
Yeah.
Wilkins, how about you? What was your...
So my project was a comparative study of gender dynamics and gender hierarchies within cultures on Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. That's a mouthful.
That's a mouthful. Let's leave the vineyard out of it. Let's just talk
All right,
about
perfect. Just Nantucket.
Yeah.
So I gave out a survey to all the conservation organizations on Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard, and wanted to see what the ratio of genders were. And
Of genders of what?
of people of the employees, of full-time staff members in the conservation organizations.
Are you interested in demographics, or was this just a study that was...
Well, it started off from noticing that there's a lot of women in environmental science. Within like the group ourselves, like the ratio was 8 women, 3 guys, and you don't really see that kind of like ratio in many other fields outside of environmental science. So I wanted to see if this was very special to this field. So I decided, all right, well, let me look into conservation organizations and like what the ratios are there. And my survey was, so I expected that there was going to be more women in the conservation organizations, and my hypothesis was half right. There were more men in the conservation field on Martha's Vineyard than I expected. I expected both islands to have the same, have more women in conservation. There was this one question where I asked what is perception of the island culture, and more people Nantucket said that the culture here is more open, whereas on Martha's Vineyard they said it was more reserved, more closed off, conservative. So putting that into perspective, maybe those are reasons why there are more women that are leading here, that are like leaderships. Of course, we have history, like a rich matriarchal history on Nantucket. Where
are you talking about staff, board, just staff?
Yeah, just staff. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, and then if you put it in context to matriarchal history that we have here in Nantucket, it's
you really
phenomenal.
Think that has anything to do with it?
I feel like it does. I feel like it helps make the community more connected. I was speaking with some people about Martha's Vineyard, and they said each town has its own vibe. It's not really like a connected sort of community, whereas here in Nantucket, everything around here just feels the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think it's an interesting hypothesis, though, and I'd be. You're going to have to convince me a little more that, clearly the issue here, I don't mean to give you a lesson or a lecture, but, it was a Quaker society. The Quakers believed in educating women, and so women did play a much bigger role. And of course, with the whalers who were away so much, the women ran many of the local businesses and so on. So, yeah, there is that cultural thing here, but does it have to do with, in the student, you say in your own group, it's three,
Yeah, 3 guys, 8 women,
8
yeah.
women. And how is it generally? How is it in society? Is it the same way across the board?
Not really.
Or is that your next step?
Yeah, so within other fields, you see it in mainstream media, there are always guys that are leading movies, leading shows and whatnot. There's never there's a rare amount of shows and movies that have women leading the stuff. So I feel like in a lot of fields you see more guys leading the field, whereas here in environmental science it's not the case at all. Yeah, but back to the history. I feel like it really helped pave the way for Nantucket to have a lot of women in leadership positions. Comparatively to Martha's Vineyard, they didn't really have that history where women led head of households. They were an agricultural island, so a lot of men would farm, and so they didn't leave to go whaling or anything. So I feel like it definitely influenced the culture in terms of where women are now on each island.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
How do we feel?
Yeah.
I feel like what he found is it matches the history of the two islands.
Not having delved in so deep to the subject as Wilkins did, we learned a little bit about the history of Nantucket and the whaling history, with the women being the ones left behind. But Wilkins dove into that so much more than we did, so I feel like he's just got a better grip on the subject.
You're going to defer to him.
I'm just kind of sitting back and observing.
Enjoying the show, yeah.
But
Based
I
on
feel
what
the
we
same
learned.
way, though, because you just I feel like as women being the leaders here in the past did carry through to now, because not just leadership, but that maternal feeling that you get being around this community, and I think it's instilled in everyone, male or female. It's just everyone works that way. We all take care of each other, and that's something we've really noticed being here on island, because being stuck in a dorm like this and being all together, everyone takes care of everyone, no matter what the gender or anything like that. And it's like that in the community too. You can see it. People we've met are like that too. So that's how I see it carry through.
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, I mean,
all right.
I defer to Wilkins, but I think it matches the history of what we learned on the island. But
Now, what year are you? Oh.
So I'm a senior. I'm graduating this year. So.
I'm a junior.
I'm a junior.
Yep. And how do you pick this program? Did the program pick you? How did
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both, yeah.
I think
We
we
had
were all
interviews.
chosen by this program for one reason or another, whether we knew it or not. But we do have, it takes an application process.
Yeah.
But
what?
Interviews.
I presume you're majoring in some form of environmental science.
Yep.
So
And you as well, Wilkins?
Oh yeah, I'm double majoring women's studies and environmental science.
Interesting.
Yeah.
sense.
And a minor in music, but details.
What about some of your colleagues? What were some of the other projects that were?
There's a lot of really cool ones. There's one about sheep's wool here on island, or the sheep themselves, and not having the right elements in their bodies to
produce non-kinky wool.
right. So one of them, she tested the wool
They're
itself
kinky
for,
sheep,
for
so-
trace elements. They feed these sheep like a bolus, which is just basically vitamins, just like we would take, but they're enriched with whatever they think they're missing to to keep their wool nice and
straighten
soft.
out the
Yeah.
wool.
But that was one. Another one was
I wonder
looking
if that was a
at-
problem back in the day when sheep ran the island. I mean, talk about
That's
a
what
matriarchal society. It was really a ovine society here.
that was a big part of a project, I think. Another one, there was like flow dynamics of the marsh over at Folgers Marsh. What else did we have? All kinds of stuff.
I
Horseshoe
think-
crabs.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
population.
orchard crabs.
Water quality.
Testing water quality.
Right,
Yeah,
that's a big issue here.
that was.
Did you get
interesting.
into the scallop industry at all?
One of our colleagues did. She looked at scallop size and was looking at the water quality along with where the scallops grew, I think, or where they were living.
Then we also did two of the girls that we live with did
Worked in
stuff
Squam.
Squam for us. They did soil and tree course. So
They're trying to see why the trees look so strange.
So would you recommend this program to people coming behind you?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
definitely.
I'm kind of bummed. Not bummed. I just wish that
We had
I
more
could-
time. or-
We had more time, and that we could like maybe come back for more. We were all saying today, like, oh man, we should be starting another class on Monday rather than going home so quick. Especially now that the weather's
How
getting
long have
nice.
you been here? 8 weeks or
12 weeks.
12 weeks?
12, yeah.
That's a
Since
good
late
long
January.
time. Yeah.
We're here for all the crap in the winter.
Yeah.
So are we. So don't feel bad.
Yeah.
It would have been nice
We
to
d-
stick it out a little bit longer, and to maybe put a little bit more effort into our projects too. So
True.
And now they're starting in the fall. They're starting their very first fall program, where this has only been spring. This is only the second time around.
Right.
We're the second group
That's
through.
right.
So the third will get not only an experience that is still in the works of like working out what works really well and seeing what doesn't work so well, because every new project has its moments. But
Yeah, what do you take in the way of classes, Sam? Why don't you tackle this? Do you have to take regular classes as well in some fashion? Or
for
you-
this semester,
Yes.
So we have 4 3-week courses while we're on island, and 1 independent study course, which is kind of
The
which is our
project- the
projects,
projects,
is what we've been
right,
working
right.
on, and they're normal classes. I mean, normal credit, normal course load, but
who-
they're just condensed into 3
Who
weeks.
teaches those?
So, Dr. Sarah Oaktai of the Field
Field
Station.
Station.
Yep, she taught our oceanography course. Dr. Elizabeth Boyle from UMass Boston. She taught us this last course for.
Yeah, I met
it
her
was-
the other night. Actually,
Yeah, she's great. Biology. We did a coastal marine biology course, and we had a graduate student, Scott Morello, who did like a statistical
analysis
analysis,
classes,
yeah, like
data.
data stuff that we like that's applicable to our projects and stuff like that. And
And then
then
we had natural history of Nantucket with Peter Brace, which was really cool.
and he's here on island.
Oh,
So.
I know Peter.
Yeah,
so
I know.
he's great.
He used
He
to,
took
he and
us
I
out
used to
every
work
day.
together, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was really
he's-
cool.
We had some fantastic field trips with Peter. So he was great. Yeah, we really enjoyed
And Peter
that.
and his dog.
Yes, Kismet.
Yeah, Kismet.
She's the
Yeah,
best.
we love Kismet.
Kismet was on the couch there. When
Oh,
Yeah.
is it?
We love Kismet.
What about Nantucket have you? What more about Nantucket would you like to know? What kinds of things about the place have you not heard enough about, or have you heard too much about everything?
I don't know about you, but I want to see Mr. Rogers' house. But no,
You never got out there?
no, we drove by it.
Yeah.
We drove by
Numerous
it.
times.
Yeah.
I think
I
I would
thought so.
want
I'm
to.
just kidding, but
Mine is more like I just want to come back at a different time of year. I've never been here in the summer. This was my first time here, anyways. Like, never visited. I just figured why not. And it's been really cool in the winter. And I think that there's a very different way of life about people, like how they go about their everyday stuff, like in the winter. And it's just very relaxed here. And I know that that's gonna take a total 180
That's
right.
come summertime. So I do want to experience that too. And of course, I've heard that the fall is the best time of year here because it's winding down, but everything's still so beautiful and it's warm.
The water's still warm.
The water's still warm, so I would like to experience that rather
Yeah.
than know anything more.
yeah.
How about you, Wilkins?
I've given it a good thought. I think if the weather would have been warmer, I would have been outside more. Definitely, for sure. So like any time that there was like good weather, I'd just like jet out and just like go biking for like a couple hours.
Yeah.
Little cabin fever was around this winter.
Oh,
There's
goodness.
No question about that.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I'm going to miss the most, though, is not being here, is just that liberal, artistic sort of mentality that everybody seems to have here. It's nice. So,
Are you artistic?
maybe a little bit. I don't know.
What's your definition of artistic?
Yeah, what's your
I
definition?
think they're artistic. You guys, they were like top contenders for the karaoke at Rose and Crown, and it turns out that there was a contest
All right,
next
I'll
week.
give you that.
Yeah, so that's pretty artistic. Yeah,
sing.
pretty artsy. Yeah,
A little
they're
bit.
pretty great actually. Someone should sign them up for a
Well,
album.
Sam, Morgan, and Wilkins, thank you very much.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you
Yeah,
enjoyed
thanks
your
for having us.
experience,
Thank
and we look forward to talking to your successors. But if you're back, let us know.
Oh,
All
we
right.
will.
Right on.
We
Get you
will.
back again. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great job, guys. Wonderful.